Yeah.
Okay, good afternoon everybody. I hope you had a very good lunch. As I said this morning, and as Matt said as well, we are building in TYPO3 community partnerships. One of the new partnerships we have and we're really proud of is with Bynder from Amsterdam, the people over here, and would like to ask you a warm welcome for Roxane and Frans about the new integration between Bynder and TYPO3.
Hi, welcome. Thanks for the warm welcome. I'm told it helps to interact and bend my knees, so hello. My name is Roxane. I've been working for Bynder for the past 3.5 years now, mainly as an implementation specialist, so guiding all of our clients through the Bynder setup of our entire product suite. And I've recently transitioned to a role as a product manager for integrations, specifically for content management systems. And I think that shows that we're aware that our system is only as good as the programs we connect with. And this is an excellent example of that we're very happy to share with you today. So I'm going to tell you something about Bynder as a company, how it started, what DAM is and what we do, why Bynder is of course the best DAM, why digital asset management and content management are such a perfect pair, and then I'm going to hand over to Frans, who is going to show us how it all works, and we'll get to see it in action. I have my lovely colleagues Kata and Caroline with me here today as well, so if you want to ask any questions afterwards that you think might not be relevant for the whole room, feel free to come up to us and have a chat. All right. So, Bynder's facts and figures, I'm sure you can read. How it all started about 5 years ago, as many software stories go, at a kitchen table in Rotterdam, 2 back-end developers and 1 dreamer were very annoyed by some problems they were facing in a website development company, specifically with logo and image sets. They started showing the websites with wireframes, and clients said, well, I can't imagine what the website will look like if you don't have any images or my logo in there. So every time they had to go through this process of the client delivering their logo set and image set, and the client would say, here's a disk with 500 images of our brand. Why don't you pick one that you think is suitable? Oh, and please don't pick one that we've already used in a lot of other places. So that was a difficult process. Backend developers were going nuts by all the couriers coming in with the disks. I think there was even a box with all the disks with codes on them, with a conversion list. Hi, is there a question?
Yeah, can you speak up just a tiny bit because you're on TV?
Yes.
Awesome.
I think there was a list even where all the disks and things with the images were coded, so it was secure, and there was a conversion list on someone's computer to say, you know, HDD number 10 belongs to client 12. So very annoying process, and it didn't profit the company in any way. And on top of that, we had a few clients that said, I would like to have a press portal, so a place where I can put that whole brand kit and have it available for download. And they were sitting at the kitchen table. One thing led to another. I'm sure there was some alcohol involved. But they actually came up with a very good idea to have a place where you upload your brand kit and you decide who gets to download it. And this is how the DAM was born. As with many good ideas, they all happen in many different places at the same time, so we were not the only one that thought of this. But as it turned out, it was a pretty good idea and people liked what we were doing. And now, a couple of years later, we've very much outgrown the mother company that still lives in our head office in Amsterdam. So we got some cool awards. We have many awesome clients. As I said before, I was an implementation specialist for Bynder, and I've been involved with about 80 clients. And it's amazing because it's like a lifelong internship where people invite you into their office, they tell you how they work, And because we do this all day, every day, we're able to say, oh, this is how you should set up your digital asset management system. This is how you should categorize it. So it's super fun. We have some target industries. It seems some specific industries are very eager to get digital asset management. We have a lot of airlines. We have a lot of consumer goods, electronics, fashion companies. But there's no company that cannot do digital asset management, because if you have a brand, if you have images, and you care about how they're used and who uses them, then you should consider getting a digital asset management tool. We've grown quite a bit. Some very exciting things happened. We got our A-series round funding. The whole story is just like the TV show Silicon Valley. It's very cliche. But we've grown a lot. We now have 6 offices worldwide exclusively for Bynder, 2 of which are almost entirely developer islands. So our Barcelona and Rotterdam office are inhabited by our lovely developers, and the other offices have more combined teams together. If you're ever around, feel free to stop by to any of them. Doors always open. We also organize, what's next? We have a tech stack that we're very proud of. Actually, we have 2. This is our current product, and also the integration that you'll see today is for what we call flagship. So our current product that's very stable, has all the features, pays all the bills. And then next to that, we have Orbit, which is kind of our playground. So that's a free product with its own tech stack where we can play around a bit more, try some features, see what works, what doesn't. We're able to start with a fresh code base there, and play around with that more. So if you want to get a trial for Bynder and you want to test the integration that we're showing today, make sure you get one for the regular Bynder suite and not for Orbit in this case. Although I do invite you to, if you want to build an integration for Orbit, be my guest. We also organize regular events for developers specifically. I think there's one coming up very soon, but I have a reference guide here that I can share with you later if you want, that this is exactly where you can find everything for those things as well. So what do we actually do? We have a whole brand portal suite. So we have a place where you can park your brand book, use it in a digital way. We have a workflow tool for approval processes, printing on demand modules with templates, brand store. But what we do best, and what really has our heart, is the digital asset management, or DAM. Now, let me start by saying that everyone here is a content creator. Everyone outside is as well. And everyone's probably already doing some form of DAM. If you are taking photos with your phone, you're creating content. If you are storing them on your computer in folders, you are doing digital asset management. So any form of categorizing your assets, putting them in folders, tagging them, that's all digital asset management. It doesn't necessarily mean it's good digital asset management. So what is digital asset management? Is a content library, so a place where you store everything. And good digital asset management means that it's easy and efficient for you to store your files. So it needs to be expandable. Your storage obviously needs to be in the cloud. It needs to be easy to categorize. So you want to make your media as rich as possible with as little effort as possible. So for Bynder, that means that we really help the client to set up a filter structure or a taxonomy that guides you through the media that you're uploading. So you might say, I'm uploading something that's seasonal. Well, in that case, you specify the season. If you're not uploading something that's not seasonal, then that information is not relevant. So we try to make it as easy as possible to add as much information as possible. Next important thing, once you've added all that information, is being able to find your assets. Different people search in different ways. So a good DAM solution allows you to also search in different ways. I think many of us here are just used to using a search bar. So a good DAM indexes all of the metadata and meta properties that you've applied, but other people might prefer to search through categories of filters or meta properties. and you need to present that in a visually attractive way. It's part of your brand portal, so making sure your digital asset management solution is on brand is something that we value very highly. Once you've found your asset, you want to make sure that you can share it if you're supposed to share it. So being connected, being able to share your assets, but also being made aware of the things that you're not supposed to share is something that we see is becoming increasingly important, especially in enterprise industries, but also as companies tend to get more and more stock photography, specific royalties and rights associated with that. And then the media that you have, you want to be able to share in an easy way, and the best example of that is by being connected to another system. For those of you who really want to know more about setting up a taxonomy, we can talk about this for days. One of my colleagues in the US actually literally wrote the book on DAM. We have a couple of those with you, with us. So if you want to come find us, it's called DAM for Dummies. Those are available as well. So if you really want to read more about how to best set up your taxonomy and how categorizing really works in DAM, then come see us. So why we're here. Digital asset management and content management, like I said before, this is actually my area that I'm going to focus on for a reason, because they are a perfect pair. If you connect your digital asset management system to your CMS, thank you, that's really where you get best of both worlds, because your CMS is the best content distribution that you have, and you've already enriched all of your media in your digital asset management system. And you don't want to redo that. You don't want to download and then upload in your CMS. You don't want to reapply all the data with risk of error. You don't want to manually convert a Photoshop file into a PNG file, do resizing on your computer, then upload it. You don't want to ask your colleague for the last year's logo, then to find out that it's been replaced by a new version. Make a great design only to find out that you've used an image that you're not supposed to use anymore. Forget about that. You just want to focus on your content and how to get that out there. So by connecting your digital asset management system to your CMS, in this case connecting Bynder to TYPO3, you're going to make it, you're going to get better quality with less effort. And I think that's something that we all want. So let's see it.
Okay. So now next is my part. First a little introduction. I'm Frans Saris. I'm developer at Beech.it for a few years now, and I'm also a co-developer of TYPO3 CMS and some extensions. I work for Beech.it here in Venlo in the Netherlands. We were the first official corner of the TYPO3 Inc. And besides TYPO3 projects, we also built projects in Angular and Laravel. Okay, TYPO3 partner, that was also the link between Bynder and us. They came, they came to us with the question, can you build an extension to seamlessly integrate our nice DAM system into the TYPO3 CMS? So we together came up with a small font, with a set of features we thought for the first version that need to get in. So seamless integration of the compact view, that's the file picker for that we know on TYPO3. And another feature would be not just to download images into the CMS, but use the CDN of Bynder. So all the traffic, etc. Use Bynder for that, where they are good in. We want to have the metadata, like Roxane said. We want to have the metadata also in TYPO3. So only manage them in Bynder, and TYPO3 should use them. And image resizing is also something that Bynder can do for us, so that's also something we want to use there. And our thing as TYPO3 integrators, we wanted to have it seamlessly integrated, but also for the templating and for the integrators, so it should work just out of the box with a normal TYPO3 installation. So that was our starting point. Nothing to say more. Just let's look at an installation process. I taped it, so no live demo, sorry. To show you how easy it works on the TYPO3 side of it all, we taped the whole installation. So we set up a fresh installation introduction package of TYPO3 8, and we installed the extension, uploaded the extension, and now just click install. Then it asks you for some Bynder specific info, the URL of your company portal there, and some authentication. Here, wait a few seconds. And after you've installed that, you save, and then it will create everything that's needed. For the tech guys, you need a storage, the file storage with the Bynder driver, and you need the file mounts so that the editor can access those files. They get created when you save it. It's a little bit small with the down, that is your file storage, and the second one is the file mount. And then the introduction package comes with the groups, with the standard editor groups, and then we just select the Bynder file mount, and that's it. Then everything is set up. Next, you log in as the editor. Let's see. We create a page, and on that page we just created a content element. So nothing new here, nothing fancy to see. Then we switch to the image element, and there we see a nice new button with a small blue logo, and that's the Bynder logo. If you click on the element, you get the first time it asks you some confirmation, because the integration is built on the authentication with the Bynder portal itself. That's outside of TYPO3. That's just a normal single sign-on from Bynder to log in. That's on a normal day, there will be one time a day that you do that. So my colleague had some issues with typing in his password, but I'm there. Okay, we have the Bynder compact view. We select an image. We'll see that in a few seconds. Okay, the strobe raffle. The strobe raffle is now added, and you can see, it's a little bit small, but it also fetches the metadata, the description, it's a lacquer strobe raffle, something like that. Then let's see. We save it. It's just an introduction packet. We didn't change anything, and then in the front you see the image, just like any other image you would normally pick from your TYPO3 installation itself. So, but what's now the power? We have the images from Bynder, so nothing in TYPO3 system itself. Also the process file, everything is from Bynder. And when we pick an image, the search options are a little bit better than our own. So now you can see you have a filter option. It's really fast. You click on it, and it gives you the selected tags. You are able to add more than one image, and yeah, there it is. That's all it takes to have Bynder into TYPO3 CMS. So what's next? Now we want to get this out in the world. We released it yesterday, so it's on our own packages and on in the TRR from TYPO3. Next on our agenda is until now you can only use it for images. Next step would be to also have your videos all the same way integrated. And to link to files. Now it's only to add an image to your content element, but maybe you want to link to a PDF that's in Bynder or something like that. That's next. And everything you can come up with, we can integrate it to you. So, getting started, like Roxane said, there's a trial version by Bynder. Just ask them to activate the API and get the extension and get rolling.
Nice.
Questions?
For single sign-on in Bynder, now you're. So now you're logged in the backend as an editor, switch probably, and when you click on link from Bynder, you get to the new login page for that user. But what if your TYPO3 installation has a single sign-on login as well, and Bynder has an integration with single sign-on as well? I don't know that.
Yeah, of course.
But can we link that? Can we adjust that URL for open image that pops up?
Yeah.
Because now you get to the login page.
Yeah, now you get the login page.
And I don't want that for my user.
Sure. Well, if I can take that, sorry. It depends on the single sign-on that you have. But if you have an active session in your single sign-on and it's the same single sign-on that you use for both systems, then you'll get the pop-up, but as soon as you click it, it will recognize that you're already logged in. So that should be...
Yeah, so you can look into the single sign-on stuff, but also that's on the list to replace the compact view with seamless integration on API level, and then you don't need the separate logins. So that could also be an option. But yeah, for now, it's the single sign-on link.
Since TYPO3 7, we have this great image cropping tool in the backend. So when we use Bynder, I saw that this is currently missing because the image processing is on Bynder's side. Are there any options we can crop an image in the Bynder's file select menu?
Okay, yeah, the nice cropper we built for TYPO3 CMS is gone for Bynder images, true. But Bynder has its own focal point implementation. So in Bynder itself, you set the focal point on your images, and like a normal integrator does, it says from a template, I wanted this size image or another size, and because of the auto focal point, all the cropped images are correctly centered. So yeah, you miss some a manual option to crop an image, but because of the automatic focal point, normally you don't need it. And else you can, in Bynder, create a second image that's cropped to the dimensions you want and use that one. So all the tools are there, but yeah, some are automatically or automagically, and the other one is to just provide the image yourself. Okay?
Yeah, can you use the tools directly from TYPO3, or do you have to log in to Bynder in the second browser tab to crop your image that you need in TYPO3? Yeah.
Currently, you have to open a new tab, but I'm sure that for most use cases you don't need to cropping anymore. So, but that's a thing we want to see in the first release of that. That's why we first released this version, to see what the real use cases are. Because cropping and the focal point are two things that bite each other, and they should work together.
I think the main point is you no longer have the necessity of a microphone.
And I already spoke up. It's a different paradigm that you're using. So people that are used to using Bynder for their assets know which cropping part, which focal point, which aspect ratios they need, because Bynder will create them anyways. And what you need to, or what at least I needed to get used to, is that you upload your stuff on Bynder, and Bynder will take care of all the processing, whether you use it on the website, on mobile, in a print ad, whatever, that doesn't matter. So I hope it's safe to say that the regular Bynder user normally knows that Bynder creates all the stuff and all the cropping functionality, etc. anyways. So when you set up your website, the designer comes up with the aspect ratios and stuff. These are built into the processing chain of Bynder in the first place. So it's not, I don't consider it a missing functionality from the TYPO3 side of things. I'm happy that there's no longer the necessity to use it, right? Because, I mean, since we have the image cropping wizard, that's awesome, but we get weird aspect ratios in customer sites that we see because the editor just goes like, that's square-ish, right? And this is what I like about the approach to basically pre-produce all the assets in order to make the everyday work just faster for the editor, because the editor knows, okay, this is my asset, and I will select it, and it will be automatically taken in the correct aspect ratio, correct resolution, and all these kind of things API-wise. So the editor basically doesn't have to worry about a thing. That's the good stuff. Did this kind of answer the question? I didn't forget you. You were bypassed 2 times.
Where will be the processed images from Bynder stored? Will they be stored in the Bynder cloud somewhere, or at the system where they are integrated?
CDN of Bynder. So that's where all your downloads.
No, you need you need more money.
So Bynder works as a CDN, right?
Yeah, Bynder uses CDN.
So the thing is, Bynder has 2 options there. One is the derivatives are automatically created, so that's for every image. And the other one is the on-the-fly derivatives.
Yeah,
correct. And what happens in TYPO3, if you say a template around an image from 12 be cropped this way, blah blah blah. The first goal it's created by Bynder, saved there somewhere in their CDN, or what you install configured there to have a CDN, and that's so there's no local images.
Okay. One more question. Does Bynder have any sort of image compression tool when generating the image sizes? So when you upload especially PNG to the web, it might be 1 or 2 megabytes sometimes.
Yeah, sure.
And with image compression tools, you can save up to 50 or 60%, yeah?
Yeah. So as Frans mentioned, we use derivatives. So that's what we call the additional sizes that we create for the use in, for example, TYPO3 or other places. And what we typically do is we create PNG because it's most used. So any format any image format gets converted to PNG in its original aspect ratio, and we can choose what compression we want to apply. So I think by default we set it to 80%, but if you want to have 50 or 60%, that can be done as well.
Yeah, but all the tool chains are in Bynder for that.
And it breaks my heart to say that, but their compression is better than ours.
Any other questions?
A maybe question? A half question?
I think I'm from Arizona. I think I already questioned that before in other meeting. We have my information soon, probably. The problem I mentioned back then was, how do you think about proportions, derivatives, based on portrait pictures and landscape pictures, as you don't have that?
Well, we can set up which side is the longest side and respect the aspect ratio. So if you want an image that's 1,000 pixels wide and just whatever aspect ratio height that fits, that's fine. It is true that typically if you want to have something that if it's landscape, it needs to be 1,000 wide, and if it's portrait, it needs to be 1,000 in height, that we typically set those up double. So then you'll have a double set of derivatives in your Bynder backend.
Yeah, or you use it on the fly and then TYPO just generates the correct format. No. On the fly is on the fly derivatives are also stored, and that's all done by Bynder. But you trigger that from your template, just to say a template for you, I want this image, and if you have then on save, it creates it for you, and saves it in Bynder, and it's all that done there. No, on the fly derivatives.
Yeah, but you apply that logic.
Okay, that's sure.
That's
I'm not
we can set up on the fly for anyone. It just needs some configuration from the Bynder side. So depending on your license, that will either be included or not.
you had the same especially.
But if you had someone that didn't want to implement implement it for you, then let me know and I'll implement it for you. How's that? But you have to use the integration.
It's already with
Okay. So that's one. Any other questions? So thank you.
Great, thanks.